Da 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 dun 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 dun. Da 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 dun 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 dun. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Boo. Oh, I forgot to make my drink. Oh well. It'll have to wait. This will be a quick stream, anyways. Uh, very interesting stuff with the centrists now starting to realize, oop, I gotta plug in my phone. With even centrists realizing how unfrigging popular APAC is. It only took them, what, we've been protesting this since 2023. Well, I mean, longer than that, but specifically 2023. It only took them 3 years and the election of a pedophile fascist. So good job, Democrats. You're really on top of things. Well friggin' done. All right, shall we dive right in? That's not the one I wanted to have up, but look. Gavin Newsom says he never has and never will take money from AIPAC. So reading that, smacked of bullshit. It smacked of a bologna frickin' sandwich made on top of a pile of dog shit. But I'll get to it later, but I did just a quick search on trackapac.com. It looks like Newsom has not taken AIPAC money. Not to say that AIPAC hasn't, created a shell company or whatever and donated through a different PAC, but at least as of right now, he hasn't taken money directly from AIPAC, which is pretty bizarre given some of the bills and positions that he's taken on political issues. Regardless, never will take money from AIPAC. When an interviewer told him he wouldn't vote for a candidate who accepts support from AIPAC, California Governor Newsom stumbled over his answer. It's interesting. Oh, I remember this. This interview, oh God, I wish I could find that clip, but he was so weird in that interview. You could tell that, like, that interviewer pressed the I need to retreat button on Gavin Newsom, right? Just found the escape the escape button, just went right up the poop hole. And Gavin Newsom's like, it's interesting. He channeled his inner Ben Shapiro because he didn't have an actual logical answer. It's interesting, Newsom said, repeating the phrase multiple times. Yeah, see, there it is. He distanced himself from the pro-Israel lobbying group, saying it is not relevant to his day-to-day life. See, this is why Newsom can't be trusted. He is a centrist hack who's going to say whatever he thinks will get him elected. It is not relevant to his day-to-day life. There's been a genocide happening for the last 3+ years. There have been massive countrywide protests in regards to this issue. He himself has helped the ICE terrorists and pedophiles kidnap many of the protesters that were fighting this issue over Israel and Gaza. And he says it's not relevant to his day-to-day life. So either he's so disconnected that he's not even aware of what the people actually want, which is a high possibility, or he just doesn't give an actual fuck enough to be involved and find a solution, which is also extremely possible. But didn't comment on whether he would ever accept its support. His critics said he's short-circuited. Yes, that was exactly what I thought as well. Back in October recently, he had a clearer answer. So this is in October. When is this article posted? This was published this month, a couple days ago. Never have and never will, Newsom said on February 22nd, asked whether he would take money from AIPAC. So I wonder if between October and February he had to, like, check with his team and be like, have we taken money from AIPAC? I mean, I can lie through it. I can lie as good as the rest of them, but makes my job easier if I just speak the truth. Now, I don't like saying the truth. I'm Gavin fucking Newsom. I don't like saying the truth. But if I can, I will. Was the first time Newsom has shown off his record not taking money from AIPAC, nor from other special block tobacco and oil. Yeah, except he takes money from Silicon Valley and AI and big tech and Facebook and Meta. AIPAC has not historically gotten involved in state elections. Well, they are now. Only ran in gubernatorial races since 2018. Newsom is widely believed to be running. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, Newsom is clearly changing tack, and to borrow a phrase that he has used, it's interesting. It's interesting. What we do know, however, is that he has donated to AIPAC. Now, let's clarify something here. AIPAC is a terrorist organization, okay? AIPAC is a group that has frequently and consistently... Oh, I'm not getting a smooth stream here. That sucks. AIPAC has consistently donated to MAGA terrorists, people who denied the election results, people who denied or who participated in the January 6th terrorist attacks. This is who AIPAC is. They are a terrorist organization, and Gavin Newsom saw that and said, let's donate to it. That was his position. Hang on one second here. Yeah, I really am going to have to fix this stream. Well, hopefully the audio at least comes through. I'm just going to rush through this. I'm new to this multi-streaming, so I really got to get to work on this. So it's very clear that he is reading the room, and this is what the centrists do, right? They pushed back for a long time thinking they could suppress the left, and they were wrong. So now polls are showing very clearly that finally we're now seeing a 41-36 in favor of Palestinians against Israel. And then on Democrats, it's even higher. Democrat sympathies haven't changed significantly over the past year, having already flipped strongly towards the Palestinians in 2025. 65% of Democrats say their sympathies lie more with the Palestinians, while 17%. So 65-17. That leaves what, another 20-something percent, 10% maybe? Yeah, about 15 and 20% that are like, well, I guess undecided or whatever, but 65-17, and the Democrats still can't get on board with this issue. It's astonishing. Where are the independents? Independents as well. By 41-30, independents say they sympathize more with the Palestinians than the Israelis. So this is clearly a winning issue. Get on board. And yet, we're doing the bidding of Israel with this war in Iran. Look at this. For those keeping score at home, if the 4 Dem defectors had voted yes to the Iran War Powers Resolution, 216 to 215, if they had not defected, we would have gotten this War Powers Resolution to rein in what's happening in Iran. And yet these Democrats are still not only on the wrong side of history, they're on the wrong side politically of what their own party wants, of what their own base wants. Now, here's what's amazing. At the current rate, it will take 12 weeks for the GOP to spend more on the Iran war than it would have to cost to continue the Affordable Care Act subsidies for 22 million Americans. If DOGE actually existed to cut waste and spending, it would have started with the Department of Defense. They have $500 billion that they're sitting on because they don't know how to spend it. And yet, even though they have $500 billion, they're still asking for another $50 billion to fund this illegal war, this regime change forever war. And this is all because Netanyahu has been pushing for war with Iran, along with he and John Bolton have to be just the best bed buddies, you know? Like, look at this. September 2002, Netanyahu invited the U.S. House of Representatives to provide an Israeli perspective on an invasion of Iraq. This is when he said, if you take out Saddam's regime, guarantee you'll have enormous positive reverberations on the region, which is not even close to what happened. People sitting on the next door in Iran, young people, and many others will say the time of such regimes, such despots, is gone. 2015, Netanyahu contrived an invitation for the then Speaker John Boehner to address a joint session of Congress, blah, 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 blah. And he attacked the Iran nuclear deal because, again, so much of what's happening in Israel is about Israeli supremacy. They are trying to expand. They're doing nothing different from what Putin is doing with Ukraine and in the Crimean Peninsula. This is a war of aggression. This is a war of imperialism to try and take over and become a larger country than they already are, which is why they're not bombing really military infrastructure in Iran. They're going after schools. They're going after hospitals. They're going after water plants. They're going after, did I say police stations yet? I can't remember if I did. They want to foment civil unrest to start an internal conflict there because they want to destabilize the area, which makes it easier for them to go in and overwhelmingly take over. May 2018, he pressed Trump to unilaterally withdraw from the agreement, the JCPOA, which was keeping Iran constrained, by the way, with their nuclear program. It was an amazing deal. Crippling sanctions on Iran, all three assessments. And, I mean, time and time again, June 2025 persuaded Trump to join an Israeli attack and obliterate Iran's military nuclear program. On and on and on. He's been at this for 20-plus years. I mean, here's a quick
You've
clip.
probably heard this line before.
Iran has never given up its quest for nuclear weapons and the missiles to deliver them.
That's because Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been saying this for more than 30 years, claiming Iran is close to having
nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons. Atomic bombs.
In 1992, as a member of parliament, Netanyahu addresses the Knesset. He says, within 3 to 5 years, we can assume that Iran will become autonomous in its ability.
So basically, he's pulling an Elon Musk. In 5 years, we're going to be on Mars. And he says that 15 years ago. That's exactly the same tactic that Netanyahu is using here.
To develop and produce a nuclear bomb. 3 years later, in his book Fighting Terrorism, he repeats the same time frame, 3 to 5 years.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Fast forward to 2002. Netanyahu testifies before a U.S. congressional committee actively calling for the invasion of Iraq.
Are there any other nations that you would recommend that the United States launch preemptive attacks upon at this point?
The two nations that are vying, competing with each other, who will be the first to achieve nuclear weapons, is Iraq and Iran.
I mean, so it goes on and on here, and I can tell the stream is not stable, so I'm going to end it here. But this is clearly a good thing that's happening with the centrist class finally getting on board to be against Israel. But there's still a lot more work to be done because they're only saying it to get elected. They're not saying it because they're actually going to do something.